Hey everyone, going to do a quick video on applying for a license or some other things like changing a license capacity or renewing a license, changing administrator, where you'll go to find that information. So basically we're going to start off by going to ACA's website, and it's aca.myflorida.com. And I just want to say that you're going to see people possibly coming into my office, phone calls. I can't stop running our facility. Otherwise, I can't create. It's harder for me to create content. So it's okay if people interrupt. Just understand that we're currently running our 32-bed assisted living facility and the training business at the same time. So you come to ACA's website and you do a search. Now in the search box you just start typing in assisted, and it should populate. If not, assisted living unit is what you're looking for. And let me just pull up these top. So once you do that, assisted living unit. Now, here's where you'll find, they've always updating information here. It's always good to come on here and see what's going on. Here's the new generator rule, talking about the requirements for generator. Yeah. And so for the licensing application and forms, you'll click on the forms on the left-hand side. And here you'll have your types of facilities. You'll just select assisted living. Okay, so here you have the application, the checklist, proof of financial ability to operate for ALFs with 16 or fewer beds. And then you have one of those proof of financial ability to operate ALFs with 17 or more beds. Those are going to be, I think applications get rejected most often for this. When you send in your application initially, that's a big one. So I would recommend, if you're doing it, is hire somebody who can help you put that together. If you take our business boot camp, which we'll be doing, or if you buy our virtual consulting package, we have somebody that can help you do it and make sure that you have exactly what you need in there, especially for the 16 or less beds if you're opening something like that. So let's go ahead and start. You can go ahead and download the application form, the checklist. As you'll see here, there's a ALF notification to change administrator is here. This healthcare licensing application addendum is another application that you'll have to include as well. And then the attestation of compliance with background screening requirements. We'll take a look at these. Okay, so let's just start off with the checklist. Okay. So the checklist, this is for initial renewal, change of ownership, and change during license period. So you'll just have to provide information for all types. You'll see a lot of this information is provided on the actual application. So it's confusing the way they do it, but basically most of this information is provided on the application itself. So you'll go through the application checklist, but this supporting documents. It's also on the checklist as well. I mean, on the application itself. But basically you've got, whoops. I'll just go through them briefly and then we'll go through them a little bit more later. General liability insurance coverage. So when you submit your application, you also have to have general liability insurance coverage in place. And if you go to our business boot camp or you buy our virtual consulting, we'll tell you the best insurance providers that we use and where to get that and how much it costs. But basically, you have to have it in place before you apply. And it'll be based on the number of residents that you're going to have, not the number of residents that you do have, or you can't scale up. If you're applying for 6 residents, 8 residents, you have to have general liability insurance coverage for that many people. The fire safety inspection report. That sounds like an easy thing just on a checklist, but it's actually a pretty complex thing. There's a few hard things in the application you have to understand. And those are the things that take up the majority of your time and money to get. Fire safety inspection report is one of them. You need to get a approval from your local fire authority and have the equipment or safety devices that are required. And you know, it's every city's different, every fire marshal's different, and you need to go check with them. That's the first thing I'll say. Find out what you need from them. We can tell you in general terms what state requirements are, but it is specific to the city. They can pass ordinances and the state law defers to the city in those situations. So go ahead and check with your local fire authority. Before, maybe even pick your location. Septic system or water supply evaluation report. So if you have a septic system or you have well water, you're going to have a whole separate thing that you need to do. You have to be aware of that. Department of Health food permit, okay? That's for 11 beds or more. You have a certain tier. The health department has tiers of kitchen size. Like there's a group home which can serve up to 10 people, and then over 10 you go into a different tier, and then there's another tier after that. And they have different requirements. So you have to go to the health department and find out what type of report you're going to have to submit. So the next one down is the Department of Health Group Care Inspection Report, like I said. You'll have to have that in the package. So that means you have to have your application with the state, with the county health department. They have to come out, do an inspection. You have to have all the things that they require. And so that's on there. That takes a while. You need documentation from local government providing compliance with local zoning requirements. There used to be a form that you'd get filled out. You'd take it down to the city, and the city building and zoning office, and they would fill it out saying how many people you can have and if it's approved. They removed that because ultimately it's not up to the city. A residential home, for example, doesn't need approval. So they changed it, and I think you would submit a letter stating that you did like a search of an area and you're in compliance with the zoning requirements. So I'll take a quick look at that here. Let me just go ahead and open the application here. Okay, so here's the application itself. This is where it says like provider information, name, mailing address, phone number, all this stuff. Fill out all this information. What type of business are you? Corporation, limited liability, contact person, property information. So who owns the property, how you own it, how do you have possession? You have to provide that with it. Do you own it? Do you lease it? The application type, is it an initial license? Is it a renewal license? Is it a change of ownership? It's same application. So, oh, there's Dad. Hey, I'm just making a recording really quick, okay? So, provider name. So here you'll do a increased capacity, decreased capacity, specialty licenses. This is where you'll add in your nursing license, your limited nursing license, your limited mental health license, or an ECC. So you have to understand, especially for the state exam, there's a standard license. Every facility has a standard license. That's the base license. And then there's additional specialty licenses on top of that, which have different requirements but allow you to do different things and take in different types of residents. LNS, limited nursing services, limited mental health, and then extended congregate care, which is ECC. So it's actually easier to get these set up initially than it is to set it up after the fact. That's just depending on what you want to offer. It's easier to do it before than after. And then you put in your number of beds. If you're ECC, you'll have to designate the areas which are ECC. And then you'll get your totals. There's a fee you pay per bed, $64.96 based on the time of the recording. It changes, so look at the application. I think when we started it was probably $30 a bed. And then you pay a base fee. So here's the breakdown. It's standard license, check, and then your $64.96 times number of beds plus your $387.73. Total fees not to exceed $14,253. And then you add in your specialty licenses, which if you do ECC, you pay per bed, LNS per bed, limited mental health, there's no fee, no charge to do a limited mental health. Increase, you'll do, this is the increased bed section here. And then you'll put in your controlling interest, the names of the people that are owners in the company, their percentage ownership, board members, management company if you have one. If you don't have one, skip it. And then their board of directors, personnel, this is where you'll list your administrator. That's why you need to pass your state exam, get your administrator license, or have an administrator in place. They want all that here. Core training, do you have a high school diploma or GED? And you'll need to include that as well in your package, the high school diploma or transcripts or the GED. If you're a nursing home administrator, you don't need the core training. And then you'll provide your license number. Okay. Disclosures, you can read through that. This application is really actually not hard. It's the other components that are hard. And another thing on top of it is a whole nother level of hard. There's 3 components to the application, at minimum 4 components which are hard. Fire, the health, the emergency plan. The emergency plan is, when they come out, they're going to want to see your emergency plan, which has to be approved. You need support facilities. Now you need a generator. You need food storage plan. So we'll give you a template for a lot of those things if you upgrade or if you come to our boot camp. But and then the financial part is probably another hard part as well, that you want to make sure that you're showing enough capacity to operate a facility. Now the consumer information is more for the general public, but this is your time to get your website in there, types of services that you're going to offer, and languages spoken. Here's specialty care. You can select memory care. If you're memory care, you know your memory care guidelines are going to be Alzheimer's level 1, level 2, and then annual update for all your staff that are going to be in contact. And you can buy our subscription package and get that pretty reasonable for your facility to be categorized as memory care. It's not as complex as it sounds. Okay, supporting documents, here you go. It has a few more things on the application here. So liability insurance, health department, food hygiene, documentation of zoning requirements pursuant to Chapter 419 Florida statutes. So let's just take a quick look at that. Basically, it explains it all here. Just go ahead and Google 419, and I'll put a link in underneath the video here. But basically, it describes what a community residential home is. It explains that if you're 6 or fewer residents, which otherwise meet the definition of a community residential home, they are deemed a single-family unit and non-commercial. So basically, they're saying that you can do this in a residential area. And then you've got to do your searches within 1,000 feet of another existing such home with 6 or fewer residents, or within a radius of 1,200 feet of another existing community residential home. So how you do that is, let's just go ahead and, because before you select anything, before you buy anything, before you spend any more money, you want to go to type in Occupancy Locator. Now I'm just showing you how to do it really quick. Okay, now once you get to the facility locator, you're going to select your address. You'll do a proximity search, and see, you can do proximity search. Okay, so I'm going to pick an address that's down the street from my facility here, and I'm going to put in the type. I'm just going to leave it as all types, just so I can see everything. And here's 1,000 feet. And it says here, please be advised that local zoning authorities may have additional restrictions and requirements not under the jurisdiction of ACA. So you still want to contact your local zoning authority, but for submitting something to the state for application, that initial zoning form that they had is no longer there. So let's do a quick search. If somebody bought a property down the street and they wanted to open one right next to me, it would say, oh, Ocean Breeze Gardens is within 1,000 feet. Okay, so that's how you do it. You can change the facility type and you search that way. Let's go back really quickly to the Florida statutes here. Down at the bottom it says basically what happens. What happens when you do get licensed is the state sends notification to the zoning office saying, hey, here's a licensed facility. Go ahead and read through this, your requirements, and let me go back to the application. Okay. Surety bond, if you are going to be holding residence property over a certain amount, you need to have a surety bond. Proof of financial ability to operate based on your size. We talked about that. You know where to find it. Copy of administrator's high school diploma or GED. Okay. And that you'll always want to keep in your administrator's file anyway, because they may want to see that when they come and do an inspection. Proof of property occupancy. Examples include leases, mortgages, or transfer agreements. So you'll have to have submitted to them. If the property's in a personal name, then you'll need to have a lease from the person. So it could be your personal name, and then you will lease it to the business. Put a lease in it. It's easier that way. Proof of property occupancy. Yeah. Certificate of authority if part of a continuing care retirement community. And then there's the healthcare licensing application addendum, which is very similar to the application itself. Required disclosures and approved repayment plan if applicable. Okay. And then you have an attestation. Go ahead and read through that. And then you mail your whole package with your check to the address right here. So it's really not that hard. Back on the here, I just want to go back briefly to this. When we clicked on the assisted living unit, if you click on assisted living facilities, remember we clicked on assisted applications and forms. If you click on assisted living facility, you're going to have more information here. So you'll have right here, either renew online. So when you do your renewal, it's really easy. You can renew it online. It's much easier than doing the paper application. Hopefully someday they do the online application, initial application, but now you have to do paper application initially and then a renewal online. Unlicensed facilities, big no-no, felony. You have 2 or more residents, and even you need to check, because this video, as of this date, 2 or more residents, felony, I mean, sorry, more than 2 residents. And they're going to really be cracking down on them. So do not have an unlicensed facility. You can go to jail. And it doesn't take much. You know, you have residents in your house and hospice comes in, or physical therapy, or family members, you know, they're not happy, and then they go look for other facilities, and then they say, yeah, my mom was over at the facility over on, you know, Smith Street. And then I would say, well, what? There is no facility on Smith Street. So a facility that's existing, playing by the rules, is going to know that you're there. I hear it all the time. In the past, I haven't heard it lately. I think anything that's illegal is not around. So don't think you're going to get away with it, because you won't. And people that come and work for you could turn you in. So just do not do it. There's you'll have all the information. You'll have the, here's a cooperative agreement. Here's I saw in here the 1823. Oh yeah, here. Resident health assessment, so you'll always be able to get an updated health assessment form here. And that's it. So I hope that helps. Once again, if you didn't know about our business training boot camps that we're going to be doing, or our upgraded virtual consulting training, it's really worth it. We have a great team of consultants. We call them area experts. And we can put you in touch with them if you want further assistance. If you're going to get into this business and you're going to, you know, open your own facility, there's really no point in trying to do it on your own and make the same mistakes that I made and other consultants have made. It's going to save you a lot of money using somebody who can help you. So I highly recommend it. Okay, thanks. Have a great day.